Welcome to FUT Weekly.
I've finally had my first walkout.
We discuss EA's latest cash grab.
A weekend league streakier than Tesco's own brand back bacon.
I take a look at the state of silvers.
And as always, we talk through the team of the week as well as our Dynamite Discards. What's that coming over the hill? It's an 80-pace Mertesacker. Welcome to week 6 of FUT Weekly. We've got a whole bunch of brand new Ultimate Scream cards. That Mertesacker does look quite nice. Are you going to pick any up, Ben?
To be honest, probably not. I think, unless you're going to use them for the SBC to get Pyatt or Douglas Costa, then probably not. I don't think they're really worth it. The stat boosts are quite minor.
Yeah.
And I apologise if I sound slightly muffled. It's because I've got a cold. Bit of man flu.
That time of year.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, also time of the year being Halloween. And just not sure they really appeal to me. The cards, I think, look a bit silly.
Yeah.
I don't think they would really fit well with my sleek-looking, no-link wasted hybrids. No, not really. But I don't think they look that great, especially compared to like the sleek design on the other cards.
Yeah, it's quite interesting in terms of the stat boosts they've given them, because when I saw what EA were doing for Halloween, I assumed it was going to be kind of like another team of the week, and we'd have quite big, significant stat boosts on these cards. And obviously, from the 28th of November to of October to the 1st of November, they're getting these huge, ridiculous stat boosts. But the actual cards have only got about one overall up, which is pretty minor, really. So yeah, I mean, kind of the only reason to pick these up is they're quite unique looking, or it's to complete the squad build challenges to get those special position changes. Because I mean, Dimitri Payet's stats would be awesome if his regular card was a cam. That as a wide midfielder, you feel like he's maybe not quite quick enough. And Douglas Costa, it's nice to be able to play him on the right hand side.
I mean, the other reason is obviously you want to go absolutely mad on FUT Champions this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
And utilise these kind of really OP players. Like Mertesacker will have apparently like 80 pace or something, according to the tweet EA sent out. So, I mean, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, it's only a few days. It's one FUT Champions.
It is an interesting concept because it's completely unlike anything EA have done before.
And it wasn't like it would made sense in the past to have this because there wasn't the weekend that made it worth having.
Yeah, exactly. There'd be no time when people are wanting to be especially competitive with their teams. Whereas now we've got that, and you get these huge rewards, and this will give some people quite a big edge, I would imagine, as we look ahead to this weekend league. And I mean, the stat boosts are huge. Like, for instance, the Mandzukic card has just a fairly meager upgrade on his regular card initially, but then over the weekend he's going to go up to something like 94 pace, 96 dribbling, 90 physical and 86 shooting, which are obviously mental stats. But also what's weird is, unlike a regular inform where the stat boosts are quite focused, there'll be kind of an attacking player will generally have their attacking stats boosted significantly. Mandzukic, that's like a decent upgrade to his shooting, but an absolutely massive one to his pace and dribbling, which is, just quite unusual. So it is interesting to see EA do this.
Yeah, I think it's quite fun, but at the same time, I suppose it might just lead to me being put off just playing FUT Champions at all this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, just give this one a miss if you've not picked up any of these cards.
It's going to be a huge outlay. I reckon they'll surely reduce in price afterwards, and this is something that we've been toying.
Trying to work out how it's going to work with them, because at the moment, I think the very cheapest are going just under 60k, maybe a couple I've seen go for 55, and I'm sure if you spent an hour trying to snipe them, someone might this one up with a lower by now. But they're all around that mark, kind of at least 50k, and then some of the rarer ones,
Lukaku's like 200k.
Lukaku's 200k. Emre Moore, the bronze striker from Dortmund, he looks phenomenal. He's well over 200k. But yeah, if you're looking to just pick them up to try and do the squad build challenges, which is what we were thinking, you're looking at an outlay of at least 50 to 60k for each card. That's basically being kept artificially high because of the squad build challenges, I guess. A lot of these cards,
if they weren't required for that,
are really unattractive cards to use.
Yeah,
and they're attractive for two reasons at the moment, because they're going to have this mad upgrade over the weekend, and for the squad build challenges. Once the mad upgrade's out of the way, we might see a bit of a decrease in price. And then once the squad build challenge is out of the way, cards like that Mertesacker, I wouldn't be surprised if they were kind of 20k. I think no one's going to want to use him.
No, exactly. And I think even after this weekend, you'll see a significant drop. And I think because players like Mertesacker are quite expensive at the moment, it seems that price is being dictated by people who wanted to use the card this weekend.
Yeah, exactly.
So hopefully that means for people like us who haven't done the SBC, come next week, people will sell on their cards that they were excited to use this weekend because they're going to have crazy stats. Anyone who was really, really going to pay over the odds to get that Payet or that Douglas Costa or Mario Gaspar, if that's the kind of thing you're into, of course, they're probably going to have already paid big money for them pretty soon. So hopefully that means that the sensible players, like people who are listening to this podcast, will probably pick them up at a reasonable price a bit later. Hopefully.
I mean, the Squad Build challenges, they've got another 8 days on them, so they're in action until next Friday. So you've got a bit of time.
Yeah.
And I mean, quite a general point with Squad Build challenges that we've both been finding is just be patient. Just wait until the last week or so of the Squad Build challenge being around to complete it, and you can do it so much cheaper. I got the SBC Son for the Player of the Month Son for about 20k total outlay. To be fair, I did get quite lucky. I packed the 1 gold Korean centre attacking mid in the pack I got for doing the BPL squad, and then I packed an inform in the pack I got for doing the Korean team, which meant I could use that for the inform squad. So that's a bit of an outlier on that one.
That's a very solid performance. But your pack luck's actually been pretty crazy, hasn't it?
Yeah, I had my first walkout in FUT Champions rewards, Jordi Alba, who I was surprised to find out goes for about 40k, which is quite a lot for a fullback. I did a gold upgrade the other day and got Sergio Busquets. And just now, again, having waited a while for the prices not to be crazy, we were both doing a couple of the challenges in the Del Piero group, and I managed to pick up an inform.
Yeah, and the other thing about it, that was that Kalinic?
Nikola Kalinic.
So, I mean, the other thing about it is that you don't always have to do every challenge, because in that one, the Sydney FC, is it Sydney FC, isn't it?
Yeah.
Those players have been price fixed because it's obviously very easy to price fix, but all the other challenges are perfectly completable and relatively good value.
Yeah, exactly. We both just did the Italian team and the Serie A team
with 3 Juventus players who now are very cheap. Obviously weren't at the time.
So I just had to pick up. I had most of the players I needed for it in my club. I just picked up Sturaro and Lemina, I think, from Juve, and had enough other players to complete it, and ended up getting an inform. So
yeah. And I had all the Juventus players, a couple of the cheap Juventus players in my club anyway, so I just used them. Didn't buy anyone for either of the challenges, and ended up with 2 of Serie A pack.
Yeah,
and a premium gold player. So it was really good. Didn't get anything, of course, but
it'll turn.
Yeah,
sure.
turn.
But it is a really important point in general about the FIFA market is how much it relies on hype, and you see it with individual player prices spiking when they have a particularly good performance in like the Champions League or something in a big match when lots of people are watching. Suddenly it just triggers something in people, and they're like, "Oh, I might try and slot him into my team. I'll go pick him up." And these little tiny real life things or anything that causes a spike in interest suddenly massively toys with the amount of demand there is for a certain player.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because, of course, it's the same with the reverse. So kind of like crashes, I suppose.
Yeah.
So you get these mini crashes. Like, I think you might see a mini crash maybe on Sunday when people are selling after divisions. People, after FUT Champions this weekend, you might see like a bit of a crash in the players' prices who are the ultimate scream cards as people try and get rid of them. And
definitely. I think,
and there's that kind of undercutting process which really drives down prices.
What we were kind of talking about off mic before we were recording was whether it would be quite nice to just get to try out a couple of these cards with the ridiculous stat boosts. And I assume between now and the weekend, we'll probably see these prices maybe rise a little bit, just kind of 5-10k on some of the cheaper cards, as more people who are thinking like that decide to try and pick up 1 or 2 to use over the weekend. And then, as you say, come Sunday, I imagine you'll see a bit of a fire sale as people suddenly realise that these cards that they've paid in some cases quite a lot for will very shortly be pretty worthless.
Especially like the kind of mid range top cards. That'll definitely be the case. I mean, there's one card that I was quite interested in actually, Apara. I may well pick him up.
Oh yeah, I mean, you've been using him this week.
I've been using him. We'll talk about Silvers a bit later. So
his ultimate scream card,
non-scream one. So I'll be looking to maybe pick him up because he's really good, and he gets decent boost to his defensive stats actually, which is quite nice.
Yeah, definitely. And I think one last thing to say, sort of about we've been talking about squad build challenges before we move on to FUT Champions recap, is the bronze, silver, and gold upgrade challenges are due to expire in one day. I remember sort of noticing when the game came out that they were up for kind of a month and a half or whatever. It said they're expired, but that felt like a long way in the distance, and suddenly it snuck up on us. So it'll be quite interesting to see whether EA just replace them with the same thing again, or what they do with that.
I think it would be very fascinating, because whether they think, oh, actually the market's changed, we want to update them to make them a bit different, whether they just renew them, whether they add a rare player in, or
exactly. It could be they might, if they think people are now wealthier or have more cards, might there be a similar upgrade, but with you have to put in more and you get a better reward, say either more rare players, or we were also wondering whether there might be, like you see with loan packs, some kind of hard cap on the overall of the player you get out of it. So you might get 2 rare players, at least one of which is over 82 or something. And to submit, you'd have to put in a few rare players of your own.
And we were thinking maybe like there's an inform one where you submit, you put in an inform player and you get another inform out.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like EA are really trying to pull out all the stops this year. So looking ahead, much longer term, over the course of this FIFA, I wouldn't be surprised if we see they clearly tried it out with Son SBC challenge where you had to submit one team of the week player. I wouldn't be surprised if they go harder with that and have something maybe where you have to submit a full inform team towards team of the season, and whether you can kind of get a guaranteed team of the season card or something along those lines.
And one thing I would say is if you're spotting any semi-decent discards that you won't make a loss on, you've got some coins,
discard informs,
then you should probably pick them up, because with these kind of challenges, I think at some point, as long as they're easy to link to other players, they'll just kind of
I mean, obviously your Diogo Jota inform investment paid off almost immediately, but I think some longer term inform hoarding could be quite valuable this year.
And I mean, if anyone wasn't listening last week, basically only paid about 13k per Jota for about 12 or 13, and they ended up selling for, I think, between 35 and 40. One even sold for 47k or something. So if that kind of thing happens again, there's that kind of hype, which was the only reason why they went up, because they dropped not long after. Then that could really, really be a good investment.
Yeah. Well, moving on to the FUT Champions, you didn't play so much this weekend.
No, I didn't. I played, I think, 13 matches.
Yeah.
And I did a really interesting one, which we both suffered from similar streaky kind of happenings.
It it was all going right, and then it was all going wrong, or the other way around.
The other way around. So I started off playing 6 games on the Saturday, and it was the worst FIFA I've played. I don't know what it was. Maybe I just wasn't in the zone. It was only a few games, and I thought it ended up being 6, I think. And it was probably just, every now and again it happens, and you should just stop playing.
Yeah,
I didn't, and ended up getting a 6-game loss streak.
Wow.
Which is not great. And then
I've had some bad streaks this year, but never completely uninterrupted losses. That is tough.
So then I won 2 games at the end for no apparent reason. Because to be honest, I was more tired by the last 2 games, wasn't I? Than the first one was in the evening. I'm not sure why that was. And then came to play in the last hour or so on the Sunday, because I'd just been up to the Midlands with family, so I'd been out, gone the whole day, but driven back and got on with a few FUT Champions games coming up to the 1 deadline. But because people are so trigger happy with the quits, I managed to get 5 wins in an hour.
Oh wow! So sort of as soon as you went ahead, people just quit out.
Yeah,
interesting,
crazy. So 5 wins in an hour. Definitely a FUT record for me. I don't think I've ever achieved that before, and I was pretty pleased with it. But that actually ended up putting me on 7 wins, I guess.
Yeah. So gold 1, bronze 1,
bronze 1. Yeah, exactly. So that's a premium
nice.
Gold players pack, and packed that H2 rated Martial. No, not really. On Artovich.
Nice.
Only a few K there, but
interesting. Well, yeah, my FUT Champions experience was a bit sort of the opposite to yours, as we said. I was able to play a bit more this weekend. I played 25 games in total, so I didn't come close to the 40 cap, but it started out really well. I won 7 of my first 10. This was playing on Saturday, kind of mid-afternoon, and it was just I just had a really good time playing FUT Champions. I had 2 false 9 teams, one with Giuliano, one with Jota, and I was just rotating between the 2 of those, and I had one dodgy loss on a penalty shootout. But other than that, I was satisfied with the losses I had. They were good players, and attacking play was all going well. And then I carried on playing on the Saturday. Saturday was the day I was able to play most, and it came to late afternoon, early evening, and suddenly stuff switched. I had someone around, so I was kind of slightly distracted, and I ended up going on a completely different streak. And between then and then starting to play a bit more on Sunday, I lost 9 of my next 12 games. So having had a great start, I ended up with only a 50% win record after 22 games. And so then I just stopped playing on the Sunday. I think I played kind of 10 games on the Sunday and lost 7 of them or something. It was horrible. So went off and had dinner, just chilled out, and then came back, and I was on Silver 2, and I needed 3 wins to get up to Silver 1. I didn't have that much time to play, so I just told myself, I'll play 1 game. If I win it, I'll play another. If I lose it, I'll stop. So I was just saying, if I lose a game at any point, I'll stop. And I just won 3 on the bounce and got myself up to Silver 1. So that was quite nice. I think definitely taking a break when things are going wrong and just identifying that you're on a losing streak and just stopping is really important.
I think that's the thing. When I came to it in that evening, although it was late-ish and I'd done a 2.5-hour drive, although maybe I wasn't the most switched on that I could have been, I was very calm about it, because I was like, well, it's all going to be a bonus no matter what happens here. So I think that really helped, and I was kind of just doing my thing, and it wasn't the kind of same pressure I think that I put myself under maybe if I knew I was close to getting something really good, which may have been kind of in your situation, because the initial record you got was actually equivalent to maybe elite.
If I'd kept it up, it was 10 out of 7 wins out of my first 10 would have been 28 wins. So I think gold 1 potentially around that level. So pretty strong record for someone who's not like a brilliant FIFA player. But yeah, I guess just fingers crossed maybe I can maintain more of a winning streak this weekend. I mean, you've qualified already, haven't you?
Yeah, I qualified through the silver tournament that was out this week.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I've not actually taken part in any of those ones.
Yeah, it was really good actually. I'll talk more about the team that I used later, as I think it's going to be useful to have a silver team, a bronze team this year, because I think they'll come up every now and again. Yeah, and I think I'm going to build a bronze team next, because I imagine that will be.
Yeah, you'd assume they will probably do that at some point. I've not looked ahead at kind of the furthest head point we can see in the schedule yet, but I wouldn't be surprised if there was a bronze tournament coming up at some point. But yeah, it is interesting how EA have kind of struggled in the last few years to implement silvers and bronzes to kind of make them relevant.
Yeah, I mean, previously we had the bronze and silver cups, which were quite a good idea, because you could always jump into a game. But in saying that, obviously often couldn't, because there were so few players who played.
Yeah, the matchmaking really struggled.
Yeah, I mean, one of the arguments that's been long put forward is bronze and silver divisions.
Yeah.
Which I can't see why they haven't been introduced. I mean, they might be pretty dead, like considering the tournaments were quite dead.
Yeah.
But and the other thing is that the rewards for these things were often silver-based rewards or bronze-based rewards, which doesn't really get people excited to play the mode or whatever it is that you're going to play.
It's kind of I guess there's a bit of a chicken and egg thing there, because silver players are often kind of valuable, but there's not that much demand for them, so they're quite hard to sell. So there's not enough value. But if there was more demand for them, then the value would be greater. But in order to get more demand for them, the value has to increase. It's kind of a
bit of a chicken and egg.
You need to get more people playing and interested in silvers in order for people, kind of the wider community, to want to do it.
Yeah, and it's a shame, because I really, really enjoyed playing with the silver team. I didn't really find silvers great last year, or bronzes. It was a bit clunky, and the gameplay didn't really suit them. And certainly, well, maybe there was something in the mechanics which didn't allow for lower stats to be effective at all. Whereas this year, it still feels like you can still play good football.
I mean, I remember back in, must have been FIFA 10, one of the first years I was playing Ultimate Team, maybe 11. And getting in one of the first few literally one of the first few online matches I played, coming up against the full Brazil team and getting torn to pieces, and not kind of throwing away my disc, but getting a bit frustrated and just thinking, what is this game mode I've come into? This is some bizarre world where 74 rated players can play like Ronaldo. And we've just not seen that in the last 4 or 5 years, probably, at least.
Yeah, there's definitely not that kind of extent of quality from silver players, I don't think. But you can always, like, certain players, like, do have that ability to possibly be better than many gold players, because at the end of the day, the rating isn't actually that much lower, even though they're the silver card.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think there's still scope for making good silver teams, good bronze teams, and enjoying them. But whether they'll kind of consistently put out a tournament tournaments or ways to play with them,
Yeah,
that's another thing,
that's
because
a
there's always single matches, of course, and you can find games that way, but it's just not.
It's really unreliable.
Yeah,
and
it's not as rewarding.
it's
You get
not as
people bronze benching as well.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously in a bronze a bronze matchup, that doesn't matter. But
It's a bit weird to gold bench in a bronze game.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is interesting in the past, and I wonder, because I remember having a bronze Korean team that I would make each year for several years, kind of maybe FIFA 12 through to 14. They felt really good, and I remember using them in single matches, and I'd often play against gold teams, and if it wasn't a brilliant player I was up against, winning fairly comfortably. And I wonder if I'm kind of looking back on that with rose tinted specs, and whether it was basically just that I was using a very, very quick team. Because a lot of it with the very low rated players is, if they're really fast, they can still be good in Ultimate Team.
Yeah, it may just be mechanics. So the players I was using weren't necessarily the fastest, but yeah, there were good physical stats on many of them, which probably helped. But yeah, I think we'll talk more about silvers and bronzes as we go forward, and I'll let everyone know how my bronze team gets on once I've made it.
Cool, look forward to that. Now, I think it's time to have a look at our Reddit and forum posts for this week, which are both along quite similar lines. I think, Ben, you've got one on sort of ghost passes and players doing things without being told.
Yeah, I mean, everyone's used to players doing things without being told in FIFA. But this is a specific kind of bug, I suppose, where players will pass the ball without you telling them to. And it's something that we'd kind of murmured about early on in the game.
I'd had it more than you.
Yeah, I hadn't really had it, and I thought maybe it was just a fault with your controller, and then it happened to me over the last week or so. It doesn't seem to be lag related, because I actually get more lag than you do, but you had a problem.
Yeah.
So that was strange, but basically this guy, Ivan, raises the point on the forums, and because I saw it, it then made me think more about it and had realised it happened quite a few times. And I think you had a post which is kind of interconnected, because it's about kind of delay and random actions.
Yeah, so the post I'm looking at is Rant by Hectic Jukes, the very good FIFA player, on our FIFA, and he is talking about these sort of ghost passes and stuff, but he spells it out quite nicely. He's talking about input delay, so players taking a long time to act on the buttons you press. So whether that's taking an extra touch before they shoot when you've asked for a first time shot, or when you attempt to tackle someone and the player auto tackles them because your opponent runs into you, and it registers your attempted tackle as an attempted clearance because it doesn't register the button press until you've already gained possession. And so when you could just play a simple pass to a player 3 meters away and maybe set up an attack, your player just hoofs it into the stands. So there's the input delay on one side, and then what your forum post is talking about, which is AI input, where it's just where players are automatically doing things. It does seem quite random how it does that, and that's both passes as well as shots. And I think something we've both noticed is you might play a cross into the box, and it seems to be going towards one of your players, and another player making a kind of secondary run gets the ball ahead of you and takes a header on goal without any input from you at all.
Yeah, which feels really weird. And I think what his argument is slightly that, well, he's a very professional player, if you like, and probably feels that it's kind of impeding the idea that it could be considered a kind of esport if there's these random aspects, something we covered in the past.
Yeah, exactly. It's adding more RNG to the game, kind of more randomness and things that aren't under the control of the player.
Yeah, exactly. And as with, this post that on the forums, it's a sentence, and Hectic Jukes goes into a lot more detail.
Yeah, he's got something of an essay, and it's quite well worded. It's worth checking out.
Yeah, so we'll post that on the blog, probably on the Twitter as well, so you can have a read of that. He makes some good points. The only thing I don't agree with, actually, is that he says that there's a lot of automation in terms of blocks, for example, which I don't really feel like you could not automate a block.
Yeah, so I guess he comments on when you're defending and your players automatically move towards the ball when a pass is played near them or a shot is played towards them, and he's saying you should have to trigger that. But part of what FIFA allows you to do is kind of control a team, and you can't be controlling all 11 players at once, and sometimes things just move far faster than you have any reasonable chance of being able to keep up with. So I feel like some level of automation there is fine. Something he points out is when players go for a block or a tackle automatically without any input from you, when it's actually quite a poor decision to do that. And a lot of the time that can leave you caught out because the animation takes however long to resolve. And so you're setting off sprinting with your centre back a half second later than you would have been. And that will cost people goals at times.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
But it is a bit really frustrating, and I hope it's weird because this stuff has been happening pre-patch, and it obviously hasn't been fixed by patch.
Yeah, he said they addressed responsiveness of shooting in the patch, which they have a bit, but clearly this is still a problem, and it's not a problem that's existed in previous FIFAs. So whether it's a problem with the engine, Frostbite engine, or something in how the game has been coded this year, it shouldn't be something we're having to deal with, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
That's a wrap on part 1. We're going to take a quick break. Join us again in about 10 seconds when we talk teams and players. Welcome back. We've got a brand new team of the week. It's quite a nice one, actually, looking at it. I mean, there's Eden Hazard as the standout player, but I think we've both got a couple of players who are a bit lower rated that we want to pick out. Obviously, there's also N'Golo Kante, the god that he is this year. But I mean, his card does look pretty unbelievable.
Yeah, he looks really good. I mean, do you want to start with him, actually?
Yeah. I mean, we'll have a little chat about N'Golo, because just his base card, whenever I've come up against it this year, I know I'm in for a really tough game, because he just creates this little, pretty big sort of just area in the midfield that you can't pass through. Like his interceptions, and I think his combination of his really high interceptions, well above 90 on his base card, and very high reactions, as well as his good movement stats, his speed, just intercepts everything. He picks passes off left, right, and centre.
Yeah, he's so frustrating to come up against.
He's just he's incredibly tenacious, really high stamina, high aggression, and decent strength. So when he got this inform card, I was partly sad because both Ben and I packed him last week as a non-inform. I knew still worth a bit, but not the several 100k this card's worth. But also just, if you come up against this card, it's going to be you're going to have a really tough time. And if you put something like Powerhouse on him, it takes, in terms of his card stats, takes him up to 82 pace, 81 dribbling, 71 shooting, 91 defending, 88 passing, and 86 physical, which is just pretty phenomenal. And
that's kind of legend stats, really.
Yeah, exactly. Just to pick out some sort of key stats with that chemistry style on him, he'd have 92 vision, 99 short passing, 94 long passing, 99 interceptions, 99 standing tackle, 96 sliding tackle. So, I mean, it's just kind of the perfect CDM, really.
Yeah, that is really strong.
But, yeah, we all need that. So, I'm not telling you anything you don't know already. Ben, who's your first card to look at?
Yeah, and a player that many people may not notice, slipped slightly under the radar, is Oriana, who plays for Celta Vigo, and he's Chilean. He looks really, really good for a league which doesn't have the best array of sort of right wing talent.
Yeah, just Gareth Bale.
Yeah, just a small matter of Gareth Bale. But to those of us who are actually mortals when it comes to Ultimate Team, Oriana looks a good option.
Yeah, to be fair, I think this now makes him the second best right-sided player in that team,
I think,
in that league.
So looks a really strong option. Obviously the best Chilean right winger. If you're into a nice hybrid, you could go with something with informed Sanchez, or then you probably could afford Bale. So I'm not sure whether that's a good argument. But he looks really good. 4-star skills, 4-star weak foot. Looks like a young player who's just come through, but he's actually 30 years old. And 5'7", so not the tallest, but really, really strong. If you put Hunter on him, 99 acceleration, 91 sprint speed, 90 finishing, 95 positioning. So really good. Decent short passing. Got really, really good 90 dribbling and 93 agility. That's just base stats. So really, really strong. Not in a physical sense, he's not the strongest. So yeah, looks a good card. Good free kicks as well, 89 curve. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. That's the only attacking player I really picked out this week. The others are more midfielders, defenders. We're looking good. And I think you've got a slightly more attacking player there as well.
Yeah, well, I mean, when I first looked at the team of the week, I noticed a fair few kind of box-to-box and defensive midfielders, but one of the forward players I wanted to talk about was Player, the striker from Nice, who are clearly having a great season, him and Balotelli up top, tearing things up. And he looks like a really nice sort of all-round striker. He's not huge, but he is nearly 6 foot. He's 5'11". He's got decent strength at 75, good dribbling. He's got 84 agility and good dribbling stats. And if you give him a bit of a pace boost, or a big pace boost, again, if you put Hunter on him, he could turn into a really phenomenal striker, I think. A bit like, he's basically a quicker, more dribbly, but slightly weaker version of Modeste from last week.
Yeah. Who actually I've tried out this week, so I'll give you a little review next week.
Cool. But yeah, he looks like a really strong sort of all-round striker who could fulfill quite a lot of different roles. If you give him a pace boost, he can be getting in behind, but if you boost his physical, maybe he could be a bit of a target man. Certainly whip some crosses into him. His heading's not the best.
And he looks like a really significantly upgraded card. I mean, one of those lower-rated cards that's got a really significant boost.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a boost of 5 to his overall, and it's been really nice to, as we've said before, to see that happening more often. Kind of bigger upgrades for the lower rated players.
It's also nice to see a big shooting boost, which has been reflected in the fact I think he scored a hat-trick actually. For Nice, so it's nice that that's mirroring reality, if you like.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, one last thing to note on this card is he's got really solid passing actually, kind of in the 70s, but all his passing stats, which would be, I mean, if you're into your link-up play, he could be quite a good option. So of course he is only 3-star weak foot, 3-star skills.
That's the only disappointment with him. But other than that, looks really good. And I think you've got another Frenchman to add into the mix.
Yeah, and I'm going to be talking about Steven Nzonzi, who's sort of the opposite of N'Golo Kante in terms of his playing style, but he looks like he could also be a really, really effective player in that holding midfield position. I've used his non-inform, and he's really nice. His physical stats kind of really shine through. He's a very, very strong player physically, but with surprisingly good passing stats and decent ball control, actually. So he's sort of a player, unlike Kante, who's just going to sprint everywhere and break up attacks. This is more of a player that you want to be sitting deep as kind of your last line of defence before your midfield, your defenders. And again, if you put something like backbone on him, boosting his defending, physical and passing, you get a player who can very comfortably play the ball out of defence, but has in the high 90s for his interceptions and standing tackle, 99 strength, 94 aggression, and very good stamina. Not quite the 97 or so that Kante has, but high 80s. So yeah, he's definitely one I think to keep an eye on, because I think he'll be cheap.
With the right chem style, he's got almost 99 short passing, long passing, doesn't he? He's very strong. 98 short passing and 87 long passing with backbone on him. Wow.
So base stats of 88 and 82 respectively, which is really solid.
Looks really good. So I've actually got two midfielders as well. I'm going to try and squeeze in quickly. Normally we go for three, but these two are in the same league. We've got Naby Keita, who plays for RB Leipzig, and for Guinea,
mate.
For Guinea. And I mean, not a hugely useful nation in that sense, but as obviously Bundesliga, a great league to build teams in. And he's got 80. Well, if you put Engine on his guard, he gets 89 pace, 89 dribbling, and 84 passing. And he's also not super strong, but he's got that kind of hustle about him. Got 99 stamina just by standard on the card. And with Engine gets sort of 99 balance, 91 agility, 92 dribbling, 95 short passing, 95 acceleration. So just stunningly quick. Not only that, but he really, really has some quality technically. Good short passing and 89 vision. So yeah, I think an ideal player, and perhaps one you play alongside Ben Taleb, who, I mean, he's got decent stats. He's got really good short passing. You put something like backbone on him, he's got outstanding passing. By default, has sort of 74 shooting, which includes 84 shot power and 81 long shots. He's not the quickest, but he does have 71 acceleration, which should allow him to cover nicely in the defensive midfield role. Yeah,
he's sort of in that position. You want players who can make short, sharp sprints, and that good acceleration will help him get up to speed quickly.
Yeah, and yeah, it just looks really good. Nice left foot on him, and strong enough, and good enough at tackling.
Cool. One final little shout out I might make for the this team of the week is the Irishman who plays in the A League, Andrew Keogh, just because he looks like a decent all-round striker, and it's never too early to start investing for St Patrick's Day.
Although, of course, interesting whether they'll do a St Patrick's Day tournament. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, true.
Because obviously there hasn't been the kind of format that would work for people to go mad investing in St Patrick's Day players, because obviously there's the 3 tournaments a week, so it gives people the opportunity to qualify, unless they're all St Paddy's related. I don't know.
And then it might have a festival of St Patrick.
Yeah.
Ultimate Team this year. Who knows what EA are doing in this crazy version of FIFA?
Yeah, exactly. It's almost like FIFA on steroids, isn't it? So next, I'll just quickly finish off with a man who I like to call Cristiano Grimaldo. He's a left back, plays for Benfica, and he's Spanish. And I used his not in form, and he was really, really solid for me. I did always feel he could benefit from a bit more defending and physical, and to an extent passing, but he's pretty strong on the ball anyway. And if you put something like Backbone on him, just gets really, really strong stats across the board. Exactly what you want on your left back. 88 short passing, incredibly 79 strength on a guy who's got 88 pace on the card, 90 stand tackle, 92 slide tackle, great interceptions and marking, agility at 88, and decent ball control and dribbling. So yeah, 88 crossing as well if you're into that kind of thing.
Cool. Really solid looking all round left back.
Yeah, looks really good. So moving on from that to an informed impression of sorts, we've got Tottenham's Son.
Yeah, Heung-min Son.
Son.
I don't know.
Son. Any Koreans out there, let us know how to pronounce
Love
it.
to be corrected. But yeah, earlier this week I realised that now the hype had died down a bit, I was able to complete the challenge for not very much at all. So I did it, and I thought I'd try him out because the card stats are pretty phenomenal. And I whacked him in at left mid in a 3-5-2, but swapped him in game to play at strike. Put Hunter Chem style on him, which basically puts him at 99 acceleration, sprint speed, and more or less 99 for finishing, long shots, and shot power. He has the finesse shot trait, he has long shot taker trait, and I have not had more confidence taking on shots with any player I can remember using in the last couple of years in FIFA. His finishing and long shots are just out of this world. And yeah, I mean, he's not a perfect card. He's got certainly some deficiencies in his physical attributes. His stamina's fine, but his strength a bit lacking. I was hoping, because he's kind of 6 foot tall, he'd feel stronger than his card suggests. He's only got 58 strength on the card, but he really doesn't. He does get pushed around by strong defenders quite a lot. He's not like a Lukaku or a Benteke, I mean, obviously, but he's not one of those cards that just has an ability to hustle past.
So he's not even like a Vardy?
Big, tough defender. Yeah, exactly. He doesn't have the kind of niggliness that a Vardy has, where he can just really annoy you. If he gets the other side of the defender, he's away, but it's getting to that position is the difficulty with him.
And also, I guess, well, actually, I was going to say he doesn't have the best stats in the air, but actually, he scored like multiple headers against me.
Yeah, he's scored a few headers for me, though most of his goals have been with his feet, and it's the double tap finesse shots have been brilliant with me. I've scored so many where just get a tiny bit of space in the box and he whips it into the far corner along the ground. And I've scored them against Neuer, I've scored them against Leno, top keepers on the game, and he finishes really, really brilliantly, actually. So I think he's just about still available, and if you haven't got him already, then I would definitely recommend doing it, because given you can now get him quite cheaply, I think he is actually worth it, for sure.
My only argument against getting him, because I haven't got him yet, and this may just be because I can't be bothered, which could be also true, but I feel that because he's a wide player with 3-star skills, I'm not sure he's quite right for me. Yeah. And then you got the fact that once you put the coins in, you don't get them back. If you bought his inform, for example, you could sell them on. Yeah. So that's my only qualm about it. But I can see that, like, I'm just terrible with 3-star skills, to be honest. It's part of the reason. But I can see why, for a lot of people, he'd be a really, really good player.
No, that is true. I have been struggling actually working out a team to put him in, because I want him playing up front as a striker. So I want to have a player in the striking position who I can swap to a left mid position, because I want my players on full chem, because I don't like having someone on 7 chem. It just bugs me. So his card position isn't ideal, but other than that, I would recommend him.
Do you think you could swap Braithwaite to like left mid instead of Eriksen.
That's a possibility.
Manually adjust it so that Eriksen and your other attacking midfielder are both cams, and then have a little Christmas tree.
Oh yeah,
with like the angel on the top being
interesting.
Big
So
Son.
the team I've got him in is a 3-5-2 with Son at left mid, Eriksen converted up to a striker, linking across to Braithwaite, the informed striker in League One, with Hatem Ben Arthur behind them. So this would swap it kind of to a 3-4-2-1. Maybe I'll try that. I'll see. Okay, cool. So Ben, I think you were gonna give us a very quick Dynamite discard before talking us through your silver squad.
Yeah, so my Dynamite discard this week is Lemina, and he plays for Juventus. Many of you may have heard of him for that reason. He's
kind of a big deal.
Yeah, he's kind of a big deal. He's actually had an upgrade card last year, which had really high defending, but this year he doesn't have very high defending. But what I've done is added a chemistry style to compensate for that, and I'm playing him in CDM in a false nine formation. So what I've got is a player who, although he doesn't have the best defending stats, with a little boost from backbone, gets mid to low 70s on all the defending stats, but then has sort of 89 strength, 91 short passing, obviously 79 acceleration, 79 sprint speed as he comes. So really, really quality card, as well as just below 80 long shots and shot power. So what I do with him is just sit him there, CDM, obviously stay back, and he really mops everything up. But then he's got that passing ability to just ping it wide, play little short passes. He doesn't tend to get too involved, which I've been quite impressed with, because a lot of players with medium will wander a bit.
Yeah.
But I've been really impressed. He does the job pretty effectively, and I need him to link to Asamoah. So the only other player that I'd be able to use there is someone like Khedira, who's fairly expensive, but also has high, which I think actually is even worse for a CDM slot.
Yeah, you'd much rather have medium than high, I think.
And actually, Juventus really lack a holding player.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
They don't have anyone with better work rates than that.
Since Khedira's work rates got shifted this year.
So that's pretty much sums up my very quick look at Lemina. But if you're looking for someone to fill that kind of role, for me, he's definitely the man.
Yeah, and I imagine with a different chemistry style, he could also be a great sort of box to box or more attacking player.
Yeah, exactly. He's got a bit of flexibility. I don't think he's the most agile. His agility on card is 79, but he's just quite large. He's a bit of a unit, so he's not that easy to maneuver, and he's got good strength. So I think you could use him in another way, but I wouldn't use him as a more attacking player. But yeah, as you say, a box to box could work. I would certainly recommend him. And if you, as I said earlier, if you want to give him a go, I'd recommend him.
Awesome.
So yeah, on to the silvers. As I'm on a roll, we'll move on to the silvers. The reason why I've built a team was because there was a tournament this week, and I banked on a few people entering it with not particularly great chemistry, and it was only on for a day, so you'd get people kind of chancing it but not taking it very seriously. I was correct. I had absolutely no trouble getting to the final. It was plain sailing. I played at 2 people, I think full chem teams, and they were decent, but this team is just really, really good. We've got a B team, which I'll start with quickly, has Ario in it, who probably heard of, Ecuadorian left wing. Really, really strong, 5-star skills, and when I say strong, I mean strong. He got 86 strength, just as standard.
Madness.
Yeah, and 80 pace, really decent dribbling. He's a really, really strong shooter as well from distance. So that team's quite good. We've got, I strongly recommend a CDM called Chico in the Turkish League, and if you're looking to build a silver team with one league, I'd go for Turkish League. It's got really good depth. So that's what I've gone for on the defence. A Tigba, I'd give a good shout out to, with 79 pace and 80 physical.
Ooh,
it's really good.
So 68 defending.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
You might want to boost that.
Yeah, so I went for Sentinel, and he's really, really good. And then in the other team I've got, which is the kind of slightly better option, I think. That last one was in the standard 4-3-3 brackets 2. This is in the 4-3-3 brackets 3, so the one with the 2 CDMs and a CM. And this has got attacking 3, which I'm really, really impressed with. We've got Leite, who everyone knows about, Michael Leite, kind of silver legend.
Yeah.
Great card. On the right, a guy called Ruidaz, who with Sniper on him has high 80s on most of his shooting stats, and is just really, really destroys any sort of a keeper you come up against. Found him quite useful. He's a little weak, but he's got a good pace to make up for that.
Which league is he in?
So he's in the Liga MX, so the Mexican league.
Mexican league.
Same with Leite, and then he links to Valdez, who's plays for the same club, and he's a CM with 4-star skills, is actually really physically strong. And my only criticism with this team is that his stamina isn't the best. So I tended to bring on a sub later in the game if it got that bad. It's a bit of a problem with that formation. The centre mid does do a lot of work. I don't know if there's something you found, but
yeah, no, I have actually. Also, the holding player in other 4-3-3 formations, whoever the central player is, I find has to do a lot of running.
And I think that Valdez kind of compensates because he's got phenomenal long shots, which are really key at silver level because keepers aren't that great. And then decent passing, and he's fairly good at tackling, even though he's not the best at defending. So there's him. And then the final player, you may have seen the long shot on our Twitter, El Yunusi, who's really amazing. I mean, 5-star skills, and he's just been really good. He's got 70 shooting as standard, which is really good for a winger. Really good player. I don't think there's too much to say other than what you see is what you get. He's skillful, he's nippy. He's not the weakest either, and he feels really good on the ball.
Cool.
And then just quickly to summarise the more defensive aspect of this team, we've got Xhaka, as in Xhaka's brother, who is really, really good. And there's that Basil link down the left-hand side, down to Traore at the bottom, who's a really pacey Ivorian left-back. And those two work really well. Xhaka's actually quite quick, not as tall as his brother, but quick. And
it's like the opposite to his
yeah,
brother.
it's really interesting. Same position, but opposite kind of abilities. But does have 81 physical. He's got good stamina and decent strength. So that's pretty good. And then finally, the centre defensive pairing of Apara and Besler. Can't really get much better than that.
So quick, so strong.
You can't really... I don't think there is a better pairing, perfect pairing in the game. Possibly not even a better gold pairing, perfect pairing, having looked at the prices you have to pay for something.
I mean, Boateng and Hummels.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of a shout.
Bonucci and Chiellini, but
and then
outside of them.
And then we've got Molina and Lopez on the right, who are both really solid. Molina's got one of my favourite work rates with the low attacking, high defensive, and Lopez takes free kicks. So you couldn't really ask for much more from this team. The kind of whole group together. You couldn't really ask for much more from the team. As a group, they're just really phenomenal, and I don't think I'll have many problems playing any silver teams with that. And that's quite a strong shout, but I think it's quite likely that,
And we'll tweet out links to both those squads if anyone wants to have a look or build them for themselves. This has been week 6 of FUT Weekly. I've been Horace.
I've been Ben.
And I hope the scariest player you have to face this weekend is an Algerian left-back from Napoli. Because he's got Ghoul in his name. It's Goulam. Get it?